faces gone so pale, flickering lights on corners weep, silent voices haunt the deep. Every door seems like a plea, murmuring secrets to the key. Where have you gone? Where did you stray? Into the night or the light of day? Missing shadows cast away, gone without a word to say. Photos lie on dusty shelves, memories trapped like lonesome elves. Echoes of laughter fade to gray as time's cruel hands steal you away. Phone rings cold, no answer still.
Hi, everybody. I am Barb Hartman, and welcome to my show, Open the Door, on the Bigfoot Outlaw Channel. Let's see. I'm trying to streamline, the opening of my, of the show to kind of get it, I don't know, a little bit more professional, but I'm probably doing a really bad job of it. So for anybody that is here for the first time, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I'm I guess you'd say like a boots on the ground Sasquatch researcher. I found myself in a habituation situation starting in 2018, and that kind of escalated. So in 2022, we could no longer avoid and ignore the signs of them. And I saw a few then after that. And I actually saw one close up in August of 2023. Yeah, last August. So before I welcome our amazing guest, I'm really excited to talk to him too. He is the guy that is responsible for my fantastic intro video. I absolutely love it. So before that, though, please, if you haven't already, please give this show and the channel a like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification button so you can be notified of any of our upcoming shows. There's so many great ones on Grizzly's channel. I would also love to have you as a subscriber on my YouTube channel. And that is, you can find me on YouTube, Barb Hartman, No Drama Bigfoot, or, just search Barb Hartman. And I also can be found No Drama Bigfoot and Cryptids on Facebook and on TikTok. So let's see. All right, before I bring Kenny in, I just want to say hi to some of the people. Oh, wow, we have a great group of people. I want to thank all of our moderators because you guys are amazing and you're here every week and you're just we're so thankful for you. Thank you so much. Hey, Standing Stones. Hello. How are you? Little Twisted. How are you? Good to see you. Skywalker. Welcome. Good to see you. Let's see. John. Hey, John. Welcome. God bless you too, bud. Carl. Welcome. Your slippers are on the ground. Okay. I don't know what that means. You know me, I'm like, if that was a joke, did it go over my head? I don't know. Hey, Roger, thank you for being here. Another one of our great moderators. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. Hey, how are you? Levon, how are you? And did I say hi to John? Living Purpose Through God's Will. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for the help earlier. Okay, I think I got everybody. Little Twisted, thank you so much for putting up my YouTube link. She's so amazing. Thank you so much. Hope I didn't forget anybody. So, my guest. Most of you know him. I'm going to guess. He is also I believe, a co-host now on this channel. Let's make sure. I think Saturday nights with Brian Barber, who also has a fantastic show. So make sure you catch that. That's on Friday night. And then on Saturday night, we'll have to check to make sure that that's right. But I'm pretty sure that he does. So Kenneth Thibodeau is also known as Starfox Radio, Starfox Media. He's a former actor and model who is currently involved in visual effects. He actively researches the dogman and missing persons phenomenon occurring in conjunction with that. And he researches that information all across the globe kind of follows that. As a journalist and author for the North American Dogman Project, he feels responsibility to spread quality awareness about the topic. So I'm going to bring him in. There we go. Welcome, Kenny.
Why, hello, my dear friend. How goes it?
I'm doing good. How are you? I'm so excited to have you finally on my show.
Right. Yes, to the audience, Barb is one of my hosts over on my thread, Starfox Radio and Midnight Lycanthropy. So, I mean, even though she's up there bi-weekly, I pretty much get a chance to speak to her daily. And to make a reference about your professionalism, I mean, I'm not really one that is considered to be all about professionalism. I mean, it's not really a gift of mine, but I mean, that looks pretty lit to me. So,
oh, thank you, honey. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So is there anything that I didn't say in your intro that you want to add about yourself?
That was spot on, my friend. And I mean, if anyone does have any sort of questions, I definitely have no problem answering it. And also, if you do go to my thread and you really want to know who Starfox is, there is a mini bio up there that is like, I don't know, 20 to 25 minutes as well. So,
hi, Jane. Yeah, I'll tell you. You also, I do want you to, if you aren't already subscribed to Kenny's channel, Starfox Radio, please on YouTube, please go over and give that a like and give it a follow, because it's amazing. I've learned so much from him, really. Oh, hey, and then we'll go. Hi, Ryan, welcome. Cool. And then we have Jane from Chiro.
What's up, everybody? This is great stuff. I appreciate you.
Yeah, awesome. So, before we get into what Kenny and I wanted to talk about, last night, I was, let's see, it's about 10:30 here. And I was in bed, just like reading and, going over whatever, my husband was working in the office next to me, and on outside now, and everybody, my daughter and my son-in-law, they live here as well. They were downstairs already, in bed. So I heard what sounded like the owls and Kenny, I know I've sent that audio that I get to you, that the owls that I get. But it was like, I've never heard it with my ears. You know what I mean? Like I hear it through my security cameras, but I've never heard it. And I'm like, whoa, that sounds exactly like it. So I thought, I'm just going to switch on one of my cameras. And immediately when I do that, I press record. But I didn't realize, like I didn't have my sound on. So I didn't even realize that I caught some stuff. So then I thought, oh, let me give that a lesson. Holy cow. I was like, whoa. And I'm going to play that for you. And what Kenny, I think, well, after I said to my husband and sent it to my my son-in-law, because I was like, you guys, what does that sound like? And they both said that it didn't sound like any, like animals. So my husband actually went out and just kind of walked on the deck and had the lights turned on. And he's like, well, if it's a human, it's not out there. And we would definitely catch it on, on our security cameras. So I'm going to just play that for you all. Oop, I forgot to say one thing. I also had sent it to Jane and Garrel Fountain. And because I thought that I got like a little weird anomaly right in the beginning, and you can see that. And Garrel said, yeah, he thought that this is a skyfish or a sky rod. So there's going to be a short clip of that playing, that I have that slowed down. Hey, Rebecca, welcome. We have to slow down, like I said, very. here for us. No, sorry, Kenny, I muted you, huh? Stop it. Nope. Okay. Okay, so what did you think about that, Kenny, when you got that?
Well, that is definitely some pretty interesting stuff for sure. But I will be the first to admit that when it comes to animal vocalizations, there's definitely some odd ones out there from known animals. So it is pretty tough for me to ever be able to figure that out on my own. So I usually try to make sure to send that out to people like our biologists and individuals that have a little bit more clarity on the topic, because I mean, I've heard the local raccoons around here make some creepy, bizarre noises.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I was down in Wakefield last month hanging out with my little brother, I mean, during the night, there are foxes that run all around the city and stuff. And most people don't realize the majority of red foxes actually live in suburban areas now, but all night you just hear them making interesting noises. I mean, squirrels, birds. So it is definitely something for animals to make strange noises, but yeah, that is pretty unique. I mean, I'm definitely willing to go as far as to say I haven't really heard something too much like that. I guess if I had to make an informed opinion, definitely sounds like maybe a primate or something that a human could make. I mean, I love to learn, so I just watch stuff all the time. And I was watching Survivor Man the other night, and just some of the primates, when he was out and about in the jungle, he's like, dude, that's a gnarly noise. And it's very similar to that. But again, I don't specialize in that, so I don't want to put it like a stamp of approval on that.
Right.
It's definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, that, we don't know what it is, which is why I sent it out. And, it's interesting because Jane Fountain was she wrote, she was the one that said, wait a minute, that sounds like a whoop instead of an owl. I'm like, oh, because I wasn't even thinking about it that way. I was thinking that it was different coming through the camera than what I was hearing inside the house. And so, weirdly enough, like, first of all, I've never heard them in the house. And as far as like making the owl noises, I heard them once before a couple weeks ago, but it was just one whoop. And I wish that I didn't get that on, on camera or anything. So anyway, I don't know. I think that I'm going to, I'll send that on to some people that, that can do some more, analyzing of it and maybe do, I'd like to have a spectrogram done or spectrograph. So anyway, so thanks for, so I hope everybody enjoyed that. And thanks for weighing in on that. Definitely. So Kenny, you have a different view on a lot of things that, kind of than I do. And simply because you haven't experienced, like, and I'll let you speak for that. You haven't experienced paranormal or supernatural. Is that true? Is that?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer a few of the questions I saw pop up real quick.
Okay.
And then touch base on that. And so Rebecca, my friend, it's not that I won't speak about Dogman stuff on other podcasts. It's just something that I really specialize in. And I feel like I try to keep that over on Starfox Radio and such, because on other podcasts, I just have so much knowledge about other cool stuff that I would definitely like to clear the cache out of my brain and also just spread some other really good awareness. And Tremblay, I actually am up super late, but I do not eat cheese too much, but you will catch me probably around 3:30 in the morning having some nice honey peanut butter with some trail mix in there and a little bit of extra honey on top while I'm getting ready for bed. So this is true right there.
I see what it is now. He comes with the joke. Well, I mean, and it's like, unless I was hearing that from all the way in what you're in Maine, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
I am near Canada.
Well, me too, but on the other coast.
Yes. So I'm a big hockey
pretty
guy. Everyone's like, "What are you, a Canadian man? You watch hockey?"
I'm like, well, I'm actually in the Northeast and I'm in Maine, but yeah, I watch hockey.
Yes, right. If you could get any closer to Canada, you'd be in Canada, right?
Right?
Yeah. So, all right. So and you have some interesting theories. When the first show that we did together, you were like, okay, here's what you think based on your research that Dogman could potentially be versus just the cryptid, just, walking around, scaring people, ripping, potentially, the reason that a lot of people go missing, whatever. But just to kind of, talk about, I really would like you to share what you think, what, based on your research, what you think that could possibly be a Dogman. What's the explanation?
Yes, of course. And I don't think I ever answered the other previous question. Yeah,
Oh,
stories for
sorry.
bedtime with Brian Barber and myself is yes, with Grizzly's Thread 8:30 on Saturdays, and that's definitely a spot we are going to talk about, stuff that is just scientific based with evidence. I mean, that's my swag. So anything I do talk about, there's
Yep.
evidence and clarity to it. So even if it's not Dogman based, I'm not going to ever take interest until I can see things that align to that. And actually, this Saturday, Mr. Barber and myself are going to be talking about why the heck Bob Dylan has mentioned numerous times that he quote unquote sold his soul and he met some sort of strange being at a crossroad. And then when people also continue to ask him why at his age, when he's achieved everything, he is still cranking music out. Well, he says he's still holding up his end of the bargain. And there's also a ton of jazz musicians and such that have, again, made these references, and all their friends would say they would be awful. Like Dylan used to be an okay musician, but all of a sudden his friends said that he just went to New York for like a month or so and came back and all of a sudden was performing at huge orchestras, and his friends would say that he looked like a man possessed. So some very interesting stuff, and that is what we tend to try to cover over there. And now to turn a 360 and answer your question, I have been absolutely nerding out like crazy. I advise anyone to learn one thing a day, but I try to stuff my brain as full as possible. And for about the last month, I've been going around the globe digging into indigenous cultures and different aspects and seeing their thoughts and lore on quote unquote dogmen, werewolves. They all have different names, but it's absolutely baffling whether it's the Norse, the Mayans, the Aztec, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Native Americans, the Romans, the Greeks. I mean, we're all speaking about this. And recently, I learned that in Ethiopia and other parts of Africa, they do not have werewolves. They have hyenas. Oh, there's that word again. And there are two different variants. There are one that sounds definitely more along the lines of a werewolf or skinwalker, that basically these blacksmiths that were successful every few generations, more or less, you would have a offspring that would be susceptible to kind of the dark arts, more or less, and you would have to take a stick. They don't tell you what you're rubbing on the stick, but you rub this stick, and you also have specific ash that you spread around, and also a chant you do. Well, the other variant is in my opinion, cynocephali, which is a hyena hominoid that purposely wears baggy clothing and such, and will act like they are either in need of help or they would like to trade with you. And as soon as you approach them, they snag you. And I just found that to be really interesting. And to fully answer your question, I think you have prehistoric animals that are still kicking around. You have misidentification with modern day animals. You have misidentification in general, where people think they might be seeing something in the forest where it's just a shadow. There's all of this occurring. But then also, when you look back into all these cultures, you see the references with the cynocephali. I mean, that hyena I just mentioned to you, they don't use the term cynocephali, but it legit fits into the category. I mean, they either had dog heads, wolf heads, jackal heads, hyena heads. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, I just learned recently in the Egyptian culture that Anubis isn't really a good guy, okay? Anubis would protect your body, quote unquote, in the afterlife, but what would you have been giving him, and what would you have done to make him waste his time? Because a lot of people don't realize that Anubis and his jackals would eat the flesh of the deceased. So what would set you apart to protect your body in the afterlife instead of being consumed? And he more or less, yes, was like a gatekeeper, not good or bad. So Yeah, I think there is a lot that's going on into it, but I do think we have physical based animals and we have the lore that needs to be looked into. But I am going to be very upfront right now and say that I think here at the North American Dogman Project, we actually probably now at this point in time might have the best quote unquote potential dogman evidence ever from a permafrost in Russia. We do not know how much more we're going to be able to find out because it is in Russia. But at the point in time, these scientists do not know whether it's a wolf, modern day canine, ancient canine. It's nothing like anything they've ever seen before. It's almost perfectly preserved. Its head is what's left of it, but it is absolutely midnight black with elongated vampire-like fangs that are hanging down. And when we look at other canines and wolves and such that are in the permafrost, this thing looks absolutely completely different, and they have no idea what it is that they're dealing with. But as stated, this is coming from Russia, so for us to even have gotten this much information and the images and such was a lot of work in general. And I just don't know how much more we're going to be able to pull out of that. But we have the image, the article, and the DNA setup that they're working on. So, like, I guess if I had to give a roundabout answer, it's all of that mushed up together. So,
That's fascinating, and it's really cool that you that your project has put together this team of experts. Tell us about, I mean, you don't have to say who they, I mean, if you don't want to say,
sure.
You can, but yeah, because that's really fascinating. And I really wish we had something like that, with on the Bigfoot side, but whatever,
Well, I mean, you're part of my squad, so you get access to my science team as well. And that's why it always makes me chuckle when, whether it's my haters or just haters in general want to be like, oh, the North American Dogman Project, they don't have anything, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Hey, last time I checked, I got a science team that I'm extremely great friends with all of them. And hey, science talks, and science is what walks the walk a lot of times. So if we didn't know how to handle things properly, then why is it we have a science team that's aligned to us and all the clickbaits don't have a science team? I mean, that should pretty much sum up the aspect right there. But we have a retired biologist that is a little bit older that is in the process of joining us, which is great. We have a younger biologist, Kyle, who's the man, which he specializes in raccoons and works at a zoo. So this is beautiful stuff. We then have Colleen, who's an environmentalist that lives out in Idaho, and she has been writing up basically how encroachment on the environment and the changes and such would change animal behaviorisms. We have Dennis Carroll, who is an occult specialist and a biblical historian, and he literally knows all that stuff inside and out. It is absolutely mind-blowing. We have May Koo, who is a spelunker and also a paleontologist specialist, and she spends a ton of time in the caves, and she does actually a ton of my paleo art for me. And then we have William White, who is a geologist and specializes in all kinds of amazing stuff, but has a ton of pictographs and interesting images that he's covered, and pretty much all the way from Idaho down to Brazil. There are skinwalker drawings from the indigenous cultures right there, which is absolutely amazing. Then we have Robert Prevost, who is also a biologist, but he now deals with mental health and a lot of stuff like that. So he is able to help with us figuring out, things that do occur with individuals that really do need to be looked at. We have Nuxium, Brother Nature, our tracker, and he has spent, I believe the majority of his life out in the field, just really conquering and learning a ton about what's occurring out there. So to have all these great minds, and I don't think I missed anybody, and if I did, well, what the heck, but I don't have my phone right in front of me.
Yeah, I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I love everybody that is part of what I do. So, I mean, I don't have the time to shout everybody out from top to bottom, but all the people that I respect and enjoy, you'll see them underneath my suggestion channel when you go to my thread. And 90% of them I've actually been able to speak with and sit down with. There are a couple of beautiful minds on there that I'm working on trying to get to be able to just pick, like Extinct Zoo, Forrest Galanti, the Wild Times podcast, Thoughty 2, all kinds of great people that are scientific based and such, and I have them up there as well. So when people want to know, any of the mainstream people I support, well, there it is right there. And anyone else that I support is people that are, pretty much doing the grind like I'm doing. So
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, like I said, I really do think that's impressive. So Ryan had a comment. Kenny, you should look into, can you see that, Kenny? William.
that I can.
He was said to be a friendly werewolf. Do you know anything about that?
I have not heard that, and I'm supposed to link up with Tremblay here in the near future, so that would be great. But I also did just recently learn in the Irish culture, again, though, I guess it's a depiction here, because I mean, they still are unaliving people, so I don't think that's a good behavior, but they apparently are only doing it to protect their community and their loved ones. So they're not considered evil, but I don't know, man, you're still unaliving people, so I don't really think that's like a good thing either. But yeah, that's pretty interesting, because in the majority of the cultures, they're definitely always frowned upon, but in that Irish segment, as stated, they're not really frowned upon, but others do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And then Standing Stones is saying, wasn't St. Christopher portrayed as a wolf man head?
Joey, yes, thank you for stopping in, man. And that is a very interesting one as well. Yes, I've seen pictures of that, but again, I'm spiritual. Okay, so I just try to be nice to individuals, go out of my way to pay things forward, treat the earth nice, spend time with animals and such, but I don't follow religion, so I don't know the most about those things until people like Dennis or others do introduce that to me. But yes, I have seen the depictions of the St. Christopher's head, which is definitely pretty interesting for sure. But like Tremblay, I don't think this happens in all of them, but he and Robert Prevost did make a good point that there are points in time where terminologies are used to dehumanize people. And there have been points in time where there is evidence to support, whether they were calling them dog people or Bigfoot or lizard people. It's a diss to make you feel like you're not doing something bad. Okay. The SS and the Dirty Stash and all them called the Jewish lizard people and such. And the reason he did that is, again, to dehumanize. I'm not saying this happens in every case. I'm a big believer in the cynocephaly and such, but I'm just saying that is something that needs to be looked at, because if you were, say, a pompous group of people such as the Romans and such, and then you had a tribal-based clan that lived up in the mountains and such and didn't really, care too much about all the shiny stuff that y'all were wearing, and they came down in their furs and things, and maybe they didn't bathe as much like y'all did. So yeah, you're going to think they're the stinky dog people. I'm not saying this is what occurred. I'm just saying there is definitely history to support those type of aspects. And I think that's important to be looked upon as well too.
Definitely. And I'm actually, you and I are doing an episode of your show later today. And that is exactly what I'm going to talk about is St. Christopher and the different, theories of why he may have been or may have not, been. And so, yeah, so I will share that on my page when Kenny's done. Because what we do is we tape it, right, Kenny? And then you produce it.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So to everyone that is aware of what I do, I like to be unique. It's just who I am. I'm an artist. I have a ton of imagery, and it just sits there in my files. I have no desire to sell it, or anything along the lines of that. So what am I going to do with it? Okay, well, I wanted to be different. I wanted to provide quality information, but absolutely amazing imagery and such to go along with what I'm talking about. And I mean, to each their own, and people obviously like to sit down and see people talk. That's just not really like my swag. I don't like to go live all the time and such. It's just also, I do not like when I slur my words and things. So I'm able to chop that all out. That actually gets me extremely frustrated. So there are points in time when I go back and watch live shows that I've been on where I honestly want to put my foot through the wall because I'm using words like etc., which are plug-in words. So I purposely really enjoy the live so I can chop that all out, and I'm just able to speak articulately. And I really do admire individuals that can public speak for an hour plus without slurring words or using cover words. So yeah, that's really what I try to do, is just be a little bit different. And hey, that's just who I am, I suppose.
It's great. It's great. And it's so much fun because like I love all the AI imagery, that you use. When your first episode that you had me in and you were using some AI images of me, I'm like, that's so fun. It's like I'm a superhero or something.
Yes.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Appreciate that.
And thank you for I've learned so much about a lot of things. Like I was on Dennis Carroll's show last Friday or Saturday night. Anyway, and I said to him, I had no idea what a cynocephaly was. No clue. When you and I were first talking about it, and I'm like, wait, I got to look that up because I had no clue. You have so much information, Kenny. Oh my gosh, like really, really like. But now I'm like, oh yeah, now I know what that is, and all this it's very interesting. So one thing that we were just talking about right before the show, and kind of like a little teaser, as you had said, what did the Nazis weaponize? And this is really off the topic, right? Of cryptids and everything. This is just some interesting stuff that you and I get into talking about. So what was it? What have they found recently?
Yes. And that's what I mean about just learning. I love it. I just love to there's obviously ways people can be trolly to somebody when they are trying to teach you something. But if people are just being cool and trying to provide knowledge, I really do. Yeah, Jeff Hardy. Yes, I was I was a big fan of Jeff Hardy, but I really do enjoy when people actually teach things. And I am okay with being incorrect because then I'm able to gain proper knowledge and speak from a point of perspective that is backed up. And hey, I'm just a journalist. It's okay. I understand all this stuff, which is why I have a science team, because yes, say if I didn't know you and you were asking these questions, I'm going to tell you what my science team has taught me. But at the end of the day, I'm a journalist. Okay. So then when you don't want to, hear what I'm saying about the topic because I am a journalist, that's okay. Then when you get the science team, they reiterate exactly what it is that is being spoken. Right. It's great because then they're like, all right, well, wait a second. Now we actually have things to back this up. And to everybody out there, I purposely try to put myself around people that are smarter than me and people that have way more knowledge than I could ever dream of. I mean, it's the whole point of learning. And whether you are 98 or 16 or 8, I mean, knowledge is prevalent and it's something that should always be welcome and not frowned upon. Whereas a lot of people, I think, just get caught up in their own egos. Oh, I'm an expert this, or so-and-so calls you an expert. At the end of the day, that's a cool terminology. But again, I mean, I'm a big sports guy and from New England, but look at Tom Brady. Okay. Everyone in the world, for the most part was telling him that he was the greatest. He didn't care though. He wanted to improve. He was the first person at the stadium every day and the last person to leave. If he really thought deep down inside that he was the greatest, he would have stopped. He would have no longer had that drive to continuously be better. He hasn't even been in the football league now for 3 years. And he just the other day ran a 40 and his 40-yard dash is actually a couple seconds better than it was when he was in the NFL. So again, that is just an example of still pushing yourself. I mean, he didn't need to do that. He's not in the NFL anymore, but it's something that he wanted to prove to himself that you're able to do. And I'm just a big advocate for that stuff. To everyone out there that hasn't seen, this is a beautiful movie. I mean, I'm not really one to watch too many movies. I like to learn stuff, but the Hercules with the Rock that Disney made in 2014 was actually one of the most epic movies I've ever seen visually and also with the story with it, because the way they dive into it, Hercules is a person just like you and I. Yes, he's bigger and he does have strength inside of him because he's a big man, but he isn't immortal. He can get stabbed. He feels pain like everybody else. But the fact that all the people around him believe in him and they tell him that we never once thought you were a god. We just follow you because we know that you would do the same for us. And that's just what I mean about looking at stuff and being able to look at the inner messages with things and then translate that back into whatever anybody is doing in general. So whether you're an actor or a journalist and stuff like that, you should just always try to learn new things, learn new perspectives, and just have a, open attitude, more or less.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I think especially in this field because, if I had like a hard and fast opinion of something, oh boy, that could change in a day. So,
Yes.
but I liked it. Yeah, definitely good.
But to
So,
answer your question now, yes,
yeah.
about the dirty stash. I mean, you can use that word. I just noticed, I don't know. I don't think YouTube is really big on the H word or the
Yes.
N word. So I like to call him the nasty stash, or
Yes.
we can refer to the SS or Heinrich Himmler.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Mhm.
pretty much going to paint the picture as to what is
Mhm.
occurring. But again, I just love to learn. So I was watching history the other night, and it was about, yes, the messed up things that were occurring, but also some of the advancements that the SS were making. And some of the things that they had were absolutely mind blowing. And they, for example, I'm going to start with something a little bit less advanced than the other thing, but they had what seemed to be almost like chicken wire, okay, that they would hang off their destroyers and their battleships. And it would send out pulse waves, little pulses that would disarm or cause torpedoes to veer off in other directions. And a way we were able to really get around that is why we started training aquatic life to be able to go up more or less and just put that mine on there and plant it and boom. But I mean, that's pretty dang advanced for World War II to have chicken wire hanging off of your boat that is distorting torpedoes coming to you. Pretty
Mhm.
dang amazing. And again, I'm really big on science and everything and evidence. Well, there is proof some sort of unknown craft did crash into, I believe it's called the Dark Woods over in Germany. And there's evidence of that. And, the madman liked to be very meticulous about everything. Everything was documented. Okay. He himself
Mhm.
admits that sometimes he would destroy things because he felt like others didn't need to know about it and such, but he would still speak about the things that were destroyed. Well, they did collect this strange saucer-like craft, and it wasn't damaged that bad. So apparently, they were able to get inside of it and really start to understand some of the propulsion aspects and things. And there's actually proof that they had some sort of strange-looking saucer thing that he could never fly, but it would go up and down kind of. So they were able to mess around enough with it that they understood what was occurring. Well, here comes a little bit more of the genius inside of this insane man at once, which is so ironic how genius and insanity is pretty much the same line sometimes. Well, they would take mercury, yes, and this has been found in numerous sunken subs, boats, crashed SS planes, etc. And this mercury was so light that it almost would float on its own and it would be attracted towards magnetics and metal and such. And what they would do is they would release these and they would float up and boom, connect to the American airplanes and other crafts. And it would immediately disable their electronics, their compasses. So, I mean, boom, there's a nice little crash in the airplane if you're up in there. So,
Mhm.
that is just absolutely super amazing that something like that can occur, but then super crazy that this person was in a country the size of like what, Texas, and pretty much almost was able to overtake the whole entire world. I mean,
Yeah.
people don't realize they had these battleships that they never really got to complete them, but they were so monstrous that they would have dwindled the battleships we had. I mean, he was the one that was responsible for making the Volkswagen buggy because it was able to get in and out of the forests and in and out of mud very quickly and get him all around. Also, he had something to do with Mercedes as well as the Autobahn and all of these things that are considered modern day marvels, but they were also used for very nefarious purposes.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, it's like when people, evil geniuses or whatever you want to say, if they could only do it, use that intelligence for good. Imagine, but that kind of gets into what you and Brian Barber are going to talk about too, though. I think, is this some kind of a deal that he made with, some occult powers, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's very interesting.
That's,
And
yeah.
I can
Hmm.
give you a thought on that real quick. And to what Tremblay
Yeah.
said, personally, the Gugway to me is the baboon version of the dogman. I do believe it's either a Dinopithecus, some remnant of large baboons, or it is just a large baboon that has either been unfortunately experimented on or somebody's pet or escaped. I mean, Jody Cook has a baboon skull that was found in the middle of Idaho that has a huge bullet hole in the back of its head. Bottom line is, what is this baboon skull doing out in the middle of the forest? Was it somebody's pet that they got sick of having and did that? Or was it running around and a hunter was like, what the heck is that? And took a shot at it. So that would pretty much answer that right there. And yeah, it's truly amazing what we're able to do, but also what we choose to do. But I think that does fall into line. Again, I don't really specialize in this, and I'm a big science person, but when you find 13,000 occult books in a bunker that is owned by the SS and was in the Czech Republic, oof, I mean, that is almost probably every known occult book in the world, including all the cursed and ones that aren't supposed to be read by anybody.
Yeah.
You're going to probably find some information in there that might have some sort of detriment to people maybe you don't like. And it is still very baffling how Germany, the size of Texas, was literally almost able to conquer the whole world. I mean, it's not like we were in a point in time where he should have been able to have that much more advancements than us, for example, in weaponry and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty much baffling. And I mean, the proof is out there. Heinrich Himmler and the SS were in every area where there is occult activity, no matter what, whether it was Castle, Hauschka, or different areas. Where there's occult demonic activity, the SS was there.
Yeah. Let's talk about, kind of switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about ancient humans. And what are your thoughts on ancient humans and how they might play into our field?
Yes. Again, some great stuff. And to anyone that wants to hear a ton about this, check out North O2 and Highly Compelling. And they do an absolutely amazing job in this. But I think right there, when you look at evolutionary aspects, it shows you that animals or humans have one of two choices. You either change and adapt, or you no longer exist. So just because you are brought up eating certain points of food and such, well, if you don't adapt to that, you go extinct. Okay. And that's a big reason why they think, for example, dire wolves, which are actually related to jackals, weren't able to necessarily adapt as much as gray wolves. Gray wolves will eat berries and vegetables and fruit and stuff. I mean, yes, they eat meat as well, but same thing with bears. But if you look at large cats, if they don't eat meat, they go blind and they become unalived. So they legit have to consume flesh. But when you look at our ancestors, we were all very similar at points in time, just like any other animal, gathering things and etc. But then Homo erectus was believed to have been encroached on by other hominoids in a very negative aspect. And they have a ton of proof that Neanderthals and such used to feed on our ancestors. And what occurred more or less is Homo erectus was put into a situation of either ceasing to exist or to adapt. And if you look, they changed their diet. They started implementing fish and meat inside with the nuts and the vegetables and things, and became hunter-gatherers. So when you look at animals now, same thing. I mean, things are going to change their behaviorisms and also what they're consuming. And I mean, that's a big thing right now with the Gigantopithecus kicking around, is that they found more pieces of the jaw and teeth and also a part of the top of the spine. And they are very optimistic it was bipedal, and it was anywhere from 12 to 14 feet tall. And there also were different versions of the Gigantopithecus, another that was a little bit smaller. Well, they are very optimistic that humans were encroaching on their environment, like we always do, of course, and there was confrontations. So again, the Gigantopithecus would have had one of two choices: cease to exist or move to different areas and start consuming different things than just grains and berries and such, which their teeth are very much like ours. There really is no reason for them to not start eating fish and other things and adapt. And there is a lot of evidence supporting that even 1,000 years ago that the Gigantopithecus still could have been kicking around. So I just think that people should always understand that things adapt and things improve the way they go amongst things. Okay. And another example. All right. I love all the neighborhood animals and such. So I love avocados. Well, avocados are something that are no longer really supposed to be here except for us. We cultivate them. Nothing can really pass those around through its digestive system to cause avocados to then grow everywhere, which, you know, in seeds and things, that's how it's spread throughout the dung. So this cool squirrel outside and with some of the other ones, well, I have this huge avocado nut. I'm like, I wonder how the squirrel would take this avocado nut, grabs it, goes up the tree, starts chewing on it. It's like, woo, this is good stuff. But see what I'm saying? There's no way that squirrel would have ever been able to get his hands on the avocado nut. But literally right in front of me, you watch evolution right there.
Yeah, good point. Wow. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on then, you know, on what is, I guess, you know, Ryan had brought up about a gugway being a type of dogman. What are your thoughts then, I think, to expand on, like, with Bigfoot? What is your perspective on that? What do you think from what you know at this point? You know, what's your...
So
I believe the gugway is, like I said, a Dinopithecus, which is the gargantuous baboon that is believed to not have gone extinct. I mean, just 1,000 years ago, there was plentiful evidence that it was kicking around still in Africa, southern parts, and still to this day, people are reported seeing it, and that thing is enormous. But even a yellow baboon is pretty large, okay? And a lot of people don't realize in the majority of the world, men are not above 6 feet, okay? If you look at a lot of Asian cultures or Spanish cultures, Italian cultures, the men are usually a little bit shorter. So when someone says they saw something the size of a man, it's really not that hard to think of a yellow baboon being the size of a man, because in the majority of areas, that yellow baboon would be. So I do believe that the gugway is either a devil monkey, the baboon dogman, or just a baboon in general, or some that have potentially escaped or had things experimented on them, or just are in general a living species. I mean, recently they just found 8 jaguars in Arizona. And like Nuxium was saying, they've been there before. Of course they're going to come back. Why wouldn't they? You either reclaim your area or you go extinct. And that's what I mean to people that seem to think there's some sort of magic border that disconnects animals from coming. So what? Grizzlies used to be in California. Does somebody really think that there's some magic line that keeps this grizzly from coming down to Canada back into parts of California? Okay, same thing with Maine. They say we only have black bears, but right above us is Canada. So why would this grizzly bear just all of a sudden stop? Oh, nope, this is Maine. I can't come here. I mean, the same thing with like Tennessee and Kentucky. Gray wolves used to be down there. Michigan is right up there. There is no logical reason a gray wolf wouldn't walk down to that area. I mean, their realm of exploration is like 300 miles, and they'll consume stuff anywhere from 30 to 35 miles away from the den. But that's like their whole little trudging area. So there's no reason a gray wolf or timber wolf wouldn't be walking through Tennessee at a point in time. And then somebody's like, oh, wait, there's no wolves down here. What's this footprint? Yes, there is wolves, man. There's wolves everywhere, dude.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, this is look, questions on, please ask all in uppercase so Barbie and Ken can read them. That's cute, Rebecca. Because I was like, Barbie and Ken. Oh, it is Barb and Ken. That's like a joke.
That's
like,
pretty
almost
pretty
went over my head.
crafty.
That's funny. So Ryan makes another interesting point. I think we've confused the gugway to a great extent. We've got the stories from the, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, and I don't want to, MAQ tribe. They called it the KUWES.
Yeah, good
And
luck
it
with
wasn't-
those, man. Tremblay is really good at pronunciating all that, but I can't say half of those. So that's why I let him say all that stuff.
Right. And I don't want to offend, by really. But so he's saying it was a female giant and we need to separate the two. Well, Yeah.
That is, again, I mean, I'm a big science person and stuff. So, I mean, there are a couple people that have spoken about it. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to find the military files, but I mean, they do have that reference of the apparent giant in, I believe it was Afghanistan in the mountains. But like I would encourage everyone out there, if something is flesh and blood, it can be unalived. So, I mean, even in that tale or an encounter, the only reason that one soldier was unalived is because he didn't see the spear come out of the cave and it impaled him. Well, what happened to that giant after? They smoked it because we have weapons and this dude is using modified prehistoric stuff. Yeah, good night. So again, whether it is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, hey, come right here. A rocket launcher is going to drop that thing in 2 seconds. I don't care like how big the T-Rex is. You shoot a rocket launcher at his kneecap, good night. So anything that is flesh and blood like that needs to consume, needs to eat. Sure, it's really interesting to think that at a point in time, I guess the term Nephilim or giants could have been kicking around. But again, I think humans would have just gotten rid of them. Anything that would cause us problems, we were going to get rid of. So take that giant, that huge red-headed thing, even take 10 or 12 decked out Romans, okay, with sweet swords and things. They could trip that thing. It falls over. You cut its Achilles tendon. I don't know. I just don't think that they would have been able to survive. I mean, we pretty much got rid of most things that would have been causing issues for us. So if those things did exist, we would have forced them to an area where we're not going to have problems with them anymore, or we're just going to hunt you down and smoke you.
Rebecca, is that all right? I'll let Ryan just answer that. She's asking how to pronounce it. So yeah, good point. And I think that about the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Sabe, whatever. There's so many different names for them. Because if the government, people say, oh, the government tries to keep that from us. I don't know. I'm not saying I trust the G-man. Okay. But I think that, that, but I think that there's a good reason for not revealing about, and for that very reason. Yeah. What do you do? What do we do?
There's just so much that would go into play. I mean, just look at right now when they found, I believe it was out your way, when they started finding rare owls and they had to protect them. And then they, wait a second. Oh, I can't cut down trees anymore. I got to protect these damn owls.
Right. Yeah.
Whether or not, I mean, hey, I love all animals and such. So, I mean, I don't really talk political stuff, but unfortunately, there's a ton of people out in the world that don't value animal life or things like that. I mean, and if they did, well, let's be real. The ocean and trees are the things that filter the majority of the toxins for us to breathe. But yeah, what do we do as bozos? We are cutting down the rainforest at alarming rates. And the Mariana Trench is believed to be one of the deepest, if not deepest spots in the ocean. Well, guess what? There's trash all at the bottom of that. So we don't even know anything about the ocean, yet we have trash all the way down at the bottom of it. So again, how smart really are we? I mean, how many animals do you know that purposely pollute their own water source or their own food source or things like that? So yes, I mean, the majority of people just don't really care. And I mean, I see it all the time. One of the neighbors the other day just was changing oil in his car and he just dumps it into his freaking lawn. I mean, it's like you idiot, your water is right under there, dude, too. And stuff. But okay. So yeah, it's pretty, there's a lot that goes into that, but to also answer your question, I think that with Bigfoot and Sasquatch, it's misidentified and mixed up just like with the term dogman and werewolves, meaning I believe now it can become a theory because these scientists are absolutely beautifully minded individuals, and they believe that there's different variations, meaning they believe the Gigantopithecus and their relatives are kicking around still. And if you see things like wood banging and bending of trees, that is a documented ape behavior. Okay, orangutans do that, gorillas do that. that is something apes do. Not saying prehistoric man or women wouldn't have done that, but we do know apes do that, and we don't know if prehistoric man and women did that. So I believe that's occurring. I also believe there are escaped primates that have just adapted here in America. I mean, after the old school Tarzan series and movies, I mean, I appreciate he did this, but he let all the animals just go here. I mean, he didn't unalive them or such, but he didn't bring them back to where they were supposed to go. He just let them all go in the Everglades.
Yeah.
So I think that's occurring. And I also believe Neanderthal man and woman are still kicking around, and they are up in the caves and such where they first would dwell. And if you look at places like Russia and other areas, when they depict them, they look very Neanderthalish. So if you saw a Neanderthal wearing the skin and fur of something, you would then think it was a wild person as well. And that would also explain some of the differences in behaviors. So I think all three of those are occurring personally.
Yep, good point. So Kenny, let's talk about what's going on with you. Like, what are your your current projects? What do you have coming up? What exciting stuff? You're always so busy. You're always super busy. And
well, so what I try to do is at least once a day, I try to get out an episode of Midnight Lycanthropy. I mean, I have no exaggeration. I try to keep at least 15, anywhere to 20 hours worth of stuff cooking up in the oven. So I'm always trying to schedule myself out so I have a constant flow of things that are occurring. But well, I have another show with you after tonight, and then I have some information I need to delve into with Brazilian werewolves and also Mayan werewolves. And after that, I do need to edit a video with Dogman TP Hunting, a friend of mine from the UK that has started coming onto my show bi-weekly. His name's Phil. And he's got some really great stuff that he's been helping me out with. And well, besides that, I am just trying to figure out just how to get my podcast out there a little bit more and spread knowledge. And yeah, just keep on grinding away and editing stuff, my friend.
Great. So where can people find you again? If somebody, let's say somebody just wants to contact you, is there a way that they can do that?
Yeah, of course. So the best way, I mean, if you're lucky, I'm being sarcastic, but not really. If you're part of my squad, like Barb and Jessica Jones and Tremblay and Jody and all y'all, you can just text me and, I'm going to get at you. But to everybody else, you can just go to my YouTube. I see all my comments. You can do it like that, or you can just click on the 207 main Dogman group page that will bring you to Facebook. And then from there, you should be able to just click on my profile and send me a message there. So, I'll definitely respond to that for sure. But the one thing no one ever wants to do is don't call me. Honestly, unless I have a time frame. Yes, where I'm like, hey, call me tonight at 4:00. I don't work like that. And don't leave me a voice message. Don't be old. Just text me. I'm just being sarcastic. But
no, you're absolutely right. Because that's like, I am much older than you, but I feel the same way. It's like, oh, don't hey, give me a call.
Right? Hey, Barb, this is Kenny. Even though you see my number that says missed call, but please, call me back. Well, of course, you just called me, so don't you want me to call you back? Like, is this real life?
But Kenny, that was funny. You did teach me that I could leave like a voicemail, not by just calling. Yes,
the walkie-talkie iPhone is dope.
And I said to my daughter, I'm like, do you know that we can do that? She's like, yeah, Mom, you've been able to do that
for a long for a minute. But hey, who cares? That's what I mean about just learning new stuff. Just recently I learned a ton of new stuff in my editing where I was like, I was just doing this the hard way. It wasn't that much of a harder way, but it would definitely save me time frames. So.
Standing Stones is saying Kenny goes to sleep at 4:30 and wakes up at 3 like a rock star.
Yeah, this is truth.
Whatever.
I've always been that creature of the night like that, and I just feel like I'm the most productive then. But also, I don't really get along with my roommates the best, and they're like super early morning people. So I just tried to really adapt my schedule around that. But I mean, even when I was acting and modeling, and even when I was a kid, like, I don't know, that's when all the cool TV shows were coming on, whether it was the X-Files or Monster Quest on History Channel. I mean, come on, it's the nighttime. Like, I just always got fired up.
Yeah. And yeah, same, because of staying up so many nights to listen, through my camera. So I have to, but I wish I could sleep in more. It's not that I can't. I mean, there's nothing preventing me. I just can't sometimes.
Yeah, I see like the sun for like 2 hours a day, which I'm totally cool. What's my uncle called me? Count Chocula, you up yet? Like, you fall out of your casket yet? Whenever he's like,
that's perfect. Laurie Sue, thanks for asking. We are surviving and doing well during the Pacific Northwest bomb cyclone event. We're supposed to have another one tomorrow. That was a pretty bad storm. We didn't get the brunt of it here, but now there's supposed to be another one coming tomorrow. So who knows what is going on. So, and Ryan says that he's going, I'm going to call Kenny and pretend I'm an insurance salesman. You're definitely
you can't
not
do that though. Tremblay doesn't even have a damn phone number right now. I got to talk to him on Facebook, man. You can't, come on.
And Millennial, well, yeah, I mean, probably we have some, some shared, I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, I was born in 1442 France. I think I found my soul a couple times, but it just keeps going away. And one time, like, my friend was like, "Hey, I thought I just saw your soul around the campfire." But when I showed up, that son of a bitch was gone,
And look at yep, Ryan continues.
What are we, 11 here? This is
Oh, that's funny. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today. Before I let you go, I just want to tell everybody that next week is Thanksgiving. So obviously I will be celebrating that, and I will not be having a show next week.
What do you mean? You can't be eating turkey and talking? Come on, Barb. What the heck?
No,
I'm disappointed. Right. That is not acceptable.
Dedicated, man. In 2 weeks, but I'll be back with Dr. Simeon Heim, and that he is he's just a specialist in all kinds of fun stuff. I'll be putting more information about him out soon. And don't forget to, again, like and subscribe this show, this channel. Please go to Starfox Radio, Kenny's channel, and I will put all that in the final comments. I think that's everything. Do you have anything else to share with us before I let you go?
I mean, if anyone's got any sort of questions or anything they want to fire away, for sure. If I didn't cover it, or just in general, definitely. It's
let's see. Anybody? Last chance. Oh yeah. No, I'm not going to be feeding the Bigfoot. I'm actually just doing a side. We're going to go to my son and daughter-in-law's. I'm like, yeah. I don't have to do that all the time now. Yeah, but everybody, thanks everybody for joining us. We're just getting, and thank you, Kenny. Awesome.
Of course, my friend. I appreciate you. I mean, you're always over on my thread. So, I mean, of course I can pop by whenever you need me, for sure.
Yes. Thank you. I
mean, I'm not opposed to go live. You just know how it is. Like, I have to get a hold of my nieces. They got to, get my hair all done up. We got to get the colors up in. They got to style.
Oh, I know.
It's not that easy to everybody to always do that. Okay. Like, I'm a mess right now.
But I said, like, I feel like, when you were like, people were pressuring you to come on, you don't have to, like, hey, that's not your jam.
I'm a real person. Okay. You can see how my picture looks. I mean, you can see that, go to my Instagram and stuff. It's just, honestly, Barb knows, like I said, my nieces are like 4 and 5. So, I mean, they're awesome, but they're my hairdressers and such. So it's a little bit of a big task, but it's great. But I mean, sometimes I definitely don't feel like I'm worthy of showing my face, for sure.
Oh no. I say the handsome face, but like, that's not your jam. So, I'm like the mom, like, come on, how you gonna meet a nice girl?
I mean, I have been a couple times. Like, I think I've been, like 5, 6, maybe 7 times I've been live. And like I said, I mean, people can see I'm real. I mean, just go to my Facebook and my gram and stuff. I mean, I have shown my face, and I mean, I will show my face again, but just at the moment too, I don't have the best setup in my room. I got to get myself like a nice chair and like a really nice computer setup. Honestly, I do all my stuff from my iPhone and also my art tablet. So I don't even have a computer. I mean, I have a Chromebook that I'm talking to you on right now that I like live stream the Bruins and stuff. But legit, everything I do is from either my art tablet or on my iPhone. So once I'm able to actually get like a nice setup and like a nice chair, that would be better too. Cause like right now, you know, I've just kind of been standing around, walking around while I'm talking because I have like these wrestling chairs. They're like these, I mean, I don't watch wrestling, but when I was a kid, like the WWE like metal chairs you see them beat each other with. Yeah, so I have one of those in my room that's like good for like if you're sitting down to put on your shoes or something. But yeah, I'm not really about sitting in that thing for like 2 hours. I feel like I'm at a Boston Bruins game.
Right. And then you'll just have to get yourself some backdrops cheap on Amazon so that I can cover anything.
Yeah, so I actually got all my autographs up, which are pretty cool. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. So I mean, I have a good backdrop and I have a werewolf mask that I'm trying to put up on the wall to make it look like I unalived it and stuff. So yeah, I got like a cool setup like that. I just need to have a comfortable chair and just goals.
Yep, and it'll come because I think what you're doing though is really amazing. Let's see, Rebecca. Oh, sorry, honey. If Kenny broadcasts from me, the squirrels are expensive to generate the power.
That's something else my uncle says. He's like, yeah, you and that dang hamster cage up in your head is always just churning, huh? Yeah, but, Rebecca says like my roommate. He's like, you dude, tell those squirrels to get a damn job.
They keep coming around and begging, but we don't want to talk about that too much because you know what the government will.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Oh man,
I just love all animals, crows, anything outside that, comes around, even if it's like a stray cat or stuff. Like I try to always just be nice. So, I mean, just the other day, there was a large, it's probably not anymore because it's cold out, but there was a large, it looked bigger than a grasshopper, but he wasn't going to probably make it across the road. So I just picked him up and brought him to the other side. I mean, I don't know. I let moths go out of my house and stuff like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you come in and you're a spider or a moth, you're not
actually cool.
You're not gonna live in my
home. I'm gonna get a jumping spider pet. I think, dude, it's proven that jumping spiders actually have connections with people, and they notice you. Yes, and they realize who you are and stuff. And it's just amazing that even something as simple. I mean, they're not simple, but people would be like, "Oh, it's just an insect or a spider," but it has the comprehension of who you are and stuff, and that's just amazing too.
My daughter thinks that they're paranormal because they always like appear out of nowhere. And they're paranormal.
Arachnophobia. That movie messed me up as a kid for sure.
Yeah. Just the other day I was my dog was barking at something outside and I popped my head out like to look out the window and the big freaking spider like right there. I'm like, oh, get out the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, see, jumping spiders are super cool. Yeah, they just
my gosh, a jumping spider, that's like my night. You talk about nightmare fuel.
They got the cool blue eyes, and there's like a tiger looking one that was around my room the other day. I was like, yo, buddy. And then he jumped on me when I was sleeping. I was like, all right, now we got to get you outside now, dude. Like,
oh my gosh, that would freak me out. I have R.I.P. Barb. She didn't make it.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
But again, thank you, Kenny. Thank you to everybody that has joined us today. Everybody, again, have a nice Thanksgiving next week. We will be, I believe we're doing a show next Wednesday night, though, the night before Thanksgiving, I believe. So I'm not positive. I haven't talked to Grizzly about that, which is the breaking news at 9 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. So we'll, just watch for that. And then watch for my episodes with Kenny on Starfox Radio. So thanks again, Kenny. So good night, everybody. And as Grizzly likes to say, from coast to coast and around the world, everybody have a good night. And thanks for being here.
In the fog of the unknown city, footsteps vanish so swiftly. Empty streets now whisper tales of long lost faces gone so pale. Flickering lights on corners weep, silent voices haunt the deep. Every door seems like a play, murmuring secrets to the key. Where have you gone? Where did you stray? Into the night or the light of day? Missing shadows cast away, gone without a word to say. Photos lie on dusty shelves, memories trapped like lonesome elves. Echoes of laughter fade to gray as